What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, club swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. We got Albert in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Bill, Sydney, Frank. We got Jared. Good morning to you. We got Jay, Justin, Kevin, Lauren. Good morning. We got Lucian, Martina, Michael, Rob, Shane. You guys are piling in. BEA, beautiful. All my people out in YouTube land, all my lurkers that just won't say nothing, just watching the screen, listening. That's okay. I still love you. Hit that like and subscribe buttons, but. Yeah, so a little bit of a pullback. We opened into a little bit of resistance, just could not break it to the upside. I had some kind of resistance closer to 610. We said yesterday we wanted the 607 to hold. It did not. So, we'll see what happens from here. I think right now according to the options market, we're pricing in about 450 and change both directions, slightly over 450 in both directions. So, from here, that would take us to about $600, little longer term view. So if we get some kind of a bigger pullback, otherwise we have this little gap here for today. At least I'd be looking for probably like 603.76 to hold. Probably looking for a little bit of support there. Not really much happening uh, after hours. I guess we're pre market for the SPY. Depends on where we look at it, but we're gapping up about 12 cents. So we're still holding yesterday's support. That's the one I'd want to see hold at first, but somewhere around 604.72. If that starts to break, I would be looking into the 603.66 range. To the higher side, if this support holds, we do have, again, that's not a really bullish candle, it's more bearish engulfing. He had a little bull trap from Friday. So probably leaning in the overall bearish trend makes a little bit of sense for a little pullback, even on the weeklies. I mean, the weeklies were just still inside of last week's candle, so feels like a decent sized move. Nothing really crazy, but you do have a little bit more risk reward to the bullish direction at open if we can hold this 604.70, 604.66 zone. So we'll see if that wants to hold. If not, would be looking for some more downward pressure to the higher side. I think stretch goals for today probably take us into the 607.31, which should act as a decent resistance for the SPY. Otherwise, even into like 50% of yesterday's candle range, something like that would be an interesting spot for bulls to get a little cautious and take some of those gains. Otherwise, we're still hanging into support. We'll see if that holds up for the next 26 minutes by the time this bell rings, and we'll kind of go from there for the SPY. But probably more inside day, a little bit more. I would assume bearish pressure, but maybe not right out of the gate. We might have to see if there's a little rollover in the afternoon. We shall see. We got the Qs are chilling, so nothing too wild here. Support 522.48. We are opening above that. I do have one previous support from over here, which we are also above 522.57. So actually a little higher, 522.66. And that puts us into another inside day candle. To the higher side, I think stretch target would be looking at 526.02, but I would even consider halfway through yesterday's candle, we probably start to feel a little bit more of that resistance coming in if we end up breaking, and again, we have now two levels of support that we are still kind of hanging above. But if we start breaking this 522.48, it might not just be a waterfall down. The big support on Qs I'd be looking for is 521.45. As soon as that starts to break, you do have a lot of room. And again, maybe it plays out over a couple days as opposed to one, because you still have maybe the opening price of this candle, the low end of it to just hang into. Otherwise, we have this gap fill all the way back down to 516.14. So any close really below 521.36, I think that would give us a little bit more momentum to the bear side on the Qs. But right now we are just had an inside day, a little bit of a potential bear trap. So we did close inside the candle. We had a wick underneath it. That was all just kind of pulling back to those retest zones, and we are opening under support. So again, right now I do think in the Qs a little bit more risk reward in the bull side than the bear side, as long as we can maintain some of those supports. We'll see. Yeah, we got a couple tickers coming in already. So the first one we'll take a look at is Google with a monster gap. Uh, EU regulator confirms probe into Google's alleged targeted advertising to minors. Put that news on Quantum. Does it have to do with Oracle stock? Yeah, Oracle, they missed on earnings, so they're gapping down. But their guidance wasn't, it's for the AI sector of Oracle, it's up almost 100% they're expecting for 2025. So there might be some hopium in Oracle. Maybe Google's playing off that a little bit. Also, Mongo database was a beat too. But a little bit of a gap up. This was nice. We're breaking out of, I guess, one major pivot, but I'd call it two with that candle. Really good location. I think targets for today is 187.76. Maybe we can make it into like the 188.18 zone. So I think there is some room higher on this one. You do have some buying yesterday. You've actually had a little buying up into this gap up. Support. So if we could get a pullback, which I would prefer, but if we get that pullback into like 183.44, some profit taking, use that as support. I would get a slightly better risk to reward, but I'd even go with a little bit of a high wave candle on this one. Really, really good breakout. I got to see where this one opens. We've still got about $3 to $4. You got about $3 to the high side on this one, and then to the downside, providing that the support holds, you got about $1.50. Um, yeah, I think Google goes higher. Would love to see a little bit of pullback, nothing too crazy. And if we could get that, fantastic. That's definitely, yeah, I got that one high on the list already. So we'll watch that one. I do prefer bullish than bearish, but at open, maybe we could sit out the first 3 to 5 minutes. See if we get a high wave candle. Unity Software is just chilling for right now. We're below yesterday's entire range for the candle, still high up there. I think this one probably gets bid up at open. I would like to see us run into this 27.56. The room to the downside takes us to 26.39. So see if we get a little retrace gap at open. Again, not much. But this one has run a lot. Really, really good support on this one. Takes us into this 26.44 zone. So maybe not a bad spot to short. I do have bigger targets up to 29.41, but we've legitimately ran from 22.88 all the way up to $28 without any pullback whatsoever. So maybe we could be due for a little pullback. We are starting to run into a little bit of a volume zone. And where's the bottom of this take us? Right into that 25.81 zone. So right into that support. So I kind of like them a little bit short, but again, see if you get that retest in first. I want to be the one jumping in short out of the gate. And then if the market does line up where we do start to break some kind of supports, this one might be a decent one for a little bit of a pullback. I guess buying around 26.39-ish would be decent. I prefer a bigger pullback on this one to 24.14 before I really get in bullish. I don't think we see that today. I'm not sure that we see that. We got Tesla. So Tesla, yeah, Tesla was gapping up a little bit. Pre-market, at least the last few minutes, we had a little bit of pullback on this one. Let me get some of these lines off the chart. We did have, so yesterday intraday we did break 400. 400 is a pretty monster resistance for it for right now. So if we could get a close anywhere above 400, then this one probably gets us that next move to like 414, something to that extent. I also have a good volume zone for intraday for today at 397.96 in a bullish direction. Otherwise, really, really good trap. They could not hold it. So it's decent sell off, almost into yesterday's VPOC. We got close. We didn't quite get there, and then we had some kind of rally from there. Uh, how's that daily chart look? Looks like one big retest gap, so not really shocked that we had some kind of a pullback. For this one, knowing that the 397 and change is going to be a little bit of resistance, it's a tiny gap up. I almost want to see if we can get that back down to this 385.93. Otherwise, we're smack in the middle of yesterday's range. Longer term, probably still bullish. We probably end up continuing going higher from here. I think people are still looking at Tesla's buy the dip, but that 400 is going to be killer, and 397 and change for today is going to be, I'd call it like 397.50. 397.50 to 397.80, I think, is going to be a little bit of a hurdle for Tesla for today. So I don't know if I really have good risk reward, bullish or bearish, right where we sit now. I almost want to let this thing play out, see if we get to that 397, and then maybe look for a short. Otherwise, uh, what I'm really hoping for is we get a pullback into 385.60, somewhere in that realm. And then I think that's a spot to attempt to go bullish if we can get it. But otherwise, just inside candle for now. Not a huge amount of edge, but I'd probably look to continue the longer term trend on it, which is bullish if you can get it. AI, believe they had earnings, so they did have earnings. They did come in with a beat, 62%, almost 63% beat on earnings per share. They also beat on revenue by 3.32 million. Biggest hurdle with this one, and I think Oracle I think is a little different, but you had that big run up into earnings already, so you'd have to come in and just clobber some numbers. So this pullback makes a little bit of sense. Opening into a strong volume zone for right now. Little bit of a retest gap into a little bit of support. I'm cautiously bullish that this could get bought up. To the downside, the bigger targets, I think we have $36.86. Depending on where this one opens, anywhere above 38.47, I'd be looking to go bullish. If we're opening below 38.47, I don't necessarily know that I want to go bearish. It was good earnings, but you are trapping anybody that did go bullish ahead of earnings, and then you also trapped Friday's candle, which was a pretty decent breakout candle. So I'd be cautious on going bearish down here. Probably looking for support around 36.79. Maybe we see 36.06. But I think eventually this one will get bought up again. Might need a little time to adjust out of the gate though. Settle in a little bit. ORCL. Pretty devastating gap down, to say the least. Again, longer term, I think they're fine. But it's uh even AI, which came in and they beat by pretty monster on earnings per share, reporting earnings at the highs, or at least 52-week highs. This one's all-time highs. You can't miss in this market. You can't miss. Again, the AI portion of it, in terms of what they put out, I think they did like 14 billion in revenue for AI. I think they're expecting 25 billion by 2025. So almost 100% gain and growth. So it does have a little bit of a good growth story. We are opening at a little bit of support. I think this one got down to like 171.20, I believe, after hours, which is right into a support, and we are maintaining this for now. It is a retest gap. I'm I want to go a little bit bullish on this one. I think targets probably take us into the 180.79 zone. Maybe we could squeeze into like 182.32. I want to see what this opening candle looks like, though. If we get a retest back down into like 172, I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be overly, overly shocked. We are trapping a decent amount of bulls on this one. So I think right now the discussion is for these guys, for anybody from November 6th up until last night, is how do I lose less on this trade? How do I get out of it? So there's going to be a little bit of bag holders, but you do have some decent support on this one. I think it's a challenge to go bullish, but I think you have some room up to, again, this 180, just above 181, somewhere in that zone. So we'll see if we could play that one. It'd probably be quick. I'd probably only be in that for a 1.2 if I could get it. But we'll see where that opening candle comes. Maybe we get a quick little flush, any panic bulls from up here. And then as long as I think the support somewhere in the 170 range starts to hold, the closer I could get to 170, the happier I am if we're going to try this thing bullish. But we'll see. We'll see how the initial candles open for Oracle. But I think there's definitely some trap bulls. So if we scream out of here, right out of the gate, I don't think I'd be a buyer. I would just be patient, see if we get that bigger, slightly pullback on this one. Some bulls still like, okay, I'm cautious, and others are trapped. So we'll see how that one plays out. Tesla, we did take a look at. Apple AAPL, which monster close yesterday. We've had quite the run on Apple from 219.94 all the way up to 247. Still gapping up. I think continuation, but again, I would not be a buyer at all-time highs on Apple in this market. It has gone absolutely wild. If you're going to try to continue this momentum, I would see what we do around 246.47. So a little bit of a retrace gap. Otherwise, you did build in really, really good support around 243.19. So a little bit further away. But if we get some kind of a pullback, really, really good close on Apple though. Almost into all-time highs. We had a tiny wick, got us a little bit above. Good gap up. Bulls are still there. I can't imagine that there's not going to be some profit taken eventually, but we've seen these markets go absolutely wild. So I don't think it's time to short it yet. I don't think it's time to short it. I think you're still looking to probably not long-term invest here either, to be honest. I don't think I would. I don't think this is the stock chart that I want to say, yeah, I'm going to hold this thing for 10 years. I think bigger dips would give you that opportunity. It is a solid company. They have mini dividend, nothing too crazy. But rather safe company at all-time highs though. It would be a little bit of a turnoff. Mongo database. This one was actually gapping up or ran up at least from earnings. It looks like we gave a lot back. I'm not sure about their guidance call, but yeah, we went from 350 all the way to 392. We did have a pullback, retraced that entire thing, tried to hold that level, and then just broke through. So on their earnings report, so maybe we have some additional trap bulls on this one, opening in a really good support though. Yeah, they beat earnings per share. They actually crushed their earnings. Their report was solid. But 32 million to the upside on the revenue. They beat by 60, almost 69% on earnings per share. This is a retest gap. You got support of the 20. Um, could be a little spready. So just watch for that spread, but I think this might be one of my favorites in terms of a fade for today. I like that support a lot. We'll see how this candle wants to open. Let's see what the pre-market looks like now. Uh, if we could break 327, the initial move, I think 335.01. I think targets for today, and maybe it could go crazier. Maybe this is my 200 EMA on a 3-minute chart. Right now, I got that right into a decent VPOC. So maybe you could get to like 340.13 on this one. Pretty good consolidation break. We retested that last VPOC. So this might be a pre-market breakout type play. So you might have to be quick on this one. But I think this one has room back to like 340 at least. And then extended targets 353.88. I'm not sure we get there today though. But 340, I think there's a solid buy the dip target. Again, good earnings report. Albert says, DJ, what indicator do you use to show VPOC on the day chart? Um, just the session, the red lines is just session volume profile. ALK. Let me know if that answers the question, or if that's not what you were asking. Oh, these ones over here. This is the Lux algo, LUX algo volume profile. Mm-hmm. Alaska Air. What? Yeah, I missed this one. What was the news on this? ALK. I don't, unless I'm missing it, I don't even see it in here. Toll Brothers. They probably buried it. Oh, jumped 11% after the carrier raised its fourth quarter guidance. And they're doing a stock buyback of $1 billion. That's pretty solid. Lots of buying into this gap. Not a bad open into a little bit of resistance. Up 11%. And it's an airline stock. I think if I was in this one, I love the buyback. I think that's solid. Raising guidance, that's good. Um, but if I was in this one from caught the double bottom 34 to 40, now I'm getting a good gap up to 60. I would probably for me sell the airlines. They're a little finicky sometimes. We'll watch this one, ALK. We'll put this higher on the list. Maybe a fade to the downside, but it's strong positive news. I'd be cautious on the fade, but I probably can't go long here. So I'd see if we could find it for. That's a lot of people buying, a lot of people profitable into some longer term resistance. Let me see if I got. Yeah. Yep, we got some resistance from over here. Got some resistance here. Well, support from over here. Yeah, I think this one's probably a fade. I think that's the better risk reward is to the downside. Morgan Stanley raised target price to 400 on Tesla. Yeah, I don't know. That's somebody's looking for a raise over there. Quite the analysis from Morgan Stanley. But like, how do you know? How do you know it could get there? Because it got there yesterday. Oh, okay. I also heard that Morgan Stanley came out. They raised the price target on MU to 105.50. So it's another crazy bold call. Just cleaning up. We got all they're doing is just looking at the chart. And they're like, what's the current price? MU is a pretty fantastic gap. This one again trades just banana sometimes, but good gap. It is a little retest from yesterday. I think more notably, I would go bullish on it. This is still inside day candle. This is actually a little three-bar reversal, although it's a little high. If we get a little pullback, watch for like 105.34. Otherwise, this one does have a good target up to like 107.69. So I like that range on it. The question is, does the 105.24 support hold? Jason saying Boeing, my old nemesis Boeing. So here's a trade that I think we were trying to look at in the swing trade room at some point in our life. I'm not sure where this one came in. I didn't take this one. This was over here. This is interesting. Yeah, so we were looking at something over here, trying to take that breakout. Maybe we get targets. I think this is probably about 2 Rs, I guess. This might be 3 R target. It would have hit once. We sold off additionally. If we get a pullback here, we get a little bit more pullback back to like 147.49 longer term. That would give you pretty good risk reward. Also create if you get a bounce there, some kind of inverted head and shoulders. That being said, we hit that target again yesterday. So this is the second time that ran up into that zone. We did get some selling. We are at the higher end. Not a horrific open to this one above the 100. The only thing is that it's inside day. So let's see if we get a little pullback to 159.07. The only other thing I'm really looking at on this one is where we open. I have one more VPOC, which is somewhere around 159.85. So if we could get out of that, it's still not easy, but I think we might have some room up to like 164.04. William says, "Do you ever sell puts on earnings like Oracle, anticipating a bounce back?" Yeah, you absolutely could. I do it fairly often. It's not a bad attempt. We were actually talking about Oracle selling puts yesterday. We were sitting at like this 190 zone. So we came up with I think there was an option for like I think it was 167.50. We're like, that's probably the appropriate one to sell. So obviously that one would be probably down a little bit, but that was a weekly option. So even with that, you might see some decay, and actually maybe it is green today, even with this down move. That coming in is probably still the appropriate one. If you have some kind of decent premium for something like Oracle. The only problem is when you're doing it. I I don't I don't love to do it when the company's got a miss and a miss, but something like Mongo database for today, if you're looking to do it, where you have these companies, and we'll see again where this one opens. But something like this might not be horrific. They did have strong earnings, so selling something like this, um, maybe this is a little overreaction. Again, we have to see where this one opens. Before, when we were looking at this one, it was closer to 325. Would have liked to see it hold, but somewhere around this 318 is your next level. So it all just depends on where it opens. If it's into a good strong support, you probably could make that play, but just be careful on when you do it. And what I would like to see too is something like this, Mongo database, even Oracle, get a nice big red candle out of the gate, and then you're looking to kind of sell it. But yeah, you could definitely sell those. Still should have some decent premium, especially if you get a good opening in the downward direction. What other thing about SMCI? Well, we closed the gap on SMCI. So that gap is filled. I do have the $44 cover calls for December 20th. So I'm going to be battling that. I don't I don't mind if they, because I got in somewhere around 23 like 2350, something like that, we'll say. So I don't mind if they call me away up in this zone. But also, in a longer term basis, again, if everything is what I would like to keep my shares, honestly, and then I'd probably look to sell some more out of the money cover calls on it and just end up getting free shares eventually, and then let SMCI do its thing. But it's all relative to the news so far, at least on a technical basis. Um, Even if you were looking to get in here, your first initial thought is, okay, maybe we could get up to that gap fill. You're up almost 100% at that point, just depending on where you got into this thing. So I think this one probably wants to rest for a little bit. Again, do I get called away on December 20th? Is it going to be above $44? I have no idea. I don't know that I would be a buyer here. If you are looking to get in, I think the better way to do it would be to sell some puts. Sell some puts, collect some premium as long as you're at these levels. If you start coming back down a little bit into the $30 range, then I think you're back in the zone where, okay, even if you just double top up at this 47, 48, $50 level, you're still up pretty massively on that one. But again, it's all going to come down. I think they have till February where they got the extension from Nasdaq to. So we'll see what happens on that one. But I wouldn't be a buyer here specifically. I would sell some puts, try to make some premium, capture some of that. If you get filled lower, great, you got in at a better price. But that is the morning opening bell. So make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe on YouTube. But unfortunately, we got to disconnect. We will big day tomorrow. We got CPI before the bell at 8:30 a.m. So just be aware of that for any of your closing plays. Make sure you guys are fully aware